Now, world champions form table. World champions.
For the next 4 years.
DJ mentions mentions the form table. But yes, I was absolutely right. Everything I said back then, DJ, that if Chelsea didn't improve on their form, if they didn't get back to playing brilliantly, defending well, working in unison, if individuals didn't start having great moments of brilliance, you wouldn't have qualified for the Champions League. You certainly wouldn't have won the Club World Cup. But your team have done that. Your team listened to what I said, and you've just won the Club World Cup and deserved it. You smashed and you destroyed and you embarrassed PSG to a point where their manager, and I do hope he gets a nice ban for this, struck a Chelsea player in the face. Luis Enrique, this is why Fergie's the GOAT. You never see Fergie hitting opponents' players. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, vile behavior from him because Chelsea dunked on their head top. Chelsea, though, for me, have clicked. Chelsea are back. And I'm saying this with no agenda. They are back. They are challenging for the Premier League title next year. Caicedo's the best DM in the world. They're still going to improve defensively and in goal, I think. João Pedro and Delap, they just give me the feeling they're the real deal. And Palmer did that. The way he sent Vitinha for that second goal was amazing. Chelsea have clicked. They've grown up. They've matured. They're in the title race next year. Phenomenal from Chelsea yesterday, boys. What did you guys make of it?
Class. Very, very sound performance. I'm not going to lie. They absolutely obliterated PSG. And I don't think anything can be taken away from them yesterday, to be fair. I think they were just better than them. Cole Palmer really stepped up yet again. Like, he's just that guy. Like, there was a lot of questions surrounding Cole Palmer, a lot of rival fans trying to cook him for some of the performances he had between February, March, and April. But I was one person that stayed very down on Cole Palmer's a class player. He's been let down by his team, but you will always see the ability there. In the moments, Cole Palmer's just next to none. And yesterday, to show the composure, to score the same goal pretty much twice, just roll it into that bottom corner, and then set up the goal for João Pedro, who I think, again, has been a very, very good signing for them. I did have some questions regarding how they were going to use him, because I thought they might opt to use him on the left wing as opposed to in the middle, but they're using him the right way. They're putting him down the middle, and when you've got two strikers like him and Delap, who are both road runners, guys that are strong, they love to get in behind, they love the one-on-one battle, and they're really good at the ball at their feet. Chelsea are becoming dangerous. I don't think we could take anything away from them. That performance yesterday shows, and we had some questions before regarding if they're spending this amount of money, it means they've got to start to compete. I think their team might be ready to compete with the ability that they shown against PSG yesterday. This is a team that dealt with the whole of England, Liverpool, Arsenal, City, Villa. All the best teams in our league got dealt with by PSG. Chelsea just went and served them on a plate. And to be fair, like you said there, that it wasn't just Luis Enrique who lost his head. João Neves pulling Cucurella's hair. Like, their whole team had absolutely lost their heads by the last 10, 15 minutes because they couldn't believe that they lost to this Chelsea team. So Chelsea put in a really, really good job, really, really good performance. And, hey, they deserved it, man. They deserved the win.
Yeah, I agree. I think Maresca deserves a lot of praise because he's come under a lot of criticism, especially this season. I think they obviously started the season really well, but in the second half of the season, a lot of Chelsea fans are saying he's not good enough. He's not a Chelsea manager. Then he gets some Champions League, which is obviously the goal that they set out at the start of the season. Goes into the Club World Cup. Maybe you're kind of saying they have an outside chance. They're good. Like, Chelsea are a team that are very good at winning trophies. They're very good at being successful. That's what we've known Chelsea is doing. And I think winning the Club World Cup now, I still think they're a bit short. If maybe one more centre back and a goalkeeper, if they are like to actually go on and win a Premier League. But I think, like, if you look around their team, with Maresca, what actually did really well yesterday was he nullified Kvaratskhelia. He put Gusto right back and then had Reece James kind of covering in across. And they actually exploited an area that not a lot of teams have been able to do, and that was like at left back. They let Nuno Mendes go forward. Cole Palmer, if you look at his heat map, was predominantly playing in that right wing position and then coming in. And that's where obviously the two goals came from. So, yeah, really impressive. But I still think, they just one or two players defensively to get them over the line. But I think the expectation should be that they win a league now. You can't go on and then say how we're champions of the world and then say that we shouldn't go on and win in the Premier League, or at least competing for it, because they have Champions League, they have the money, they've spent the money, they have a squad now that potentially could go and do it. But yeah, I still think they're a tiny bit short, but the expectation should be that they go on and win it.
Yeah, I mean, when you say the expectations have got it right, by the way, I agree with you on Maresca. I think he deserves so much credit. I think it's another sort of notch in the bedpost of people that talk about having some patience and reading the room. I felt the worst thing that Chelsea could have done was in March when they were struggling, was sack the manager. I said that criticism was needed. I said that, pressure's got to be applied, but I felt if they put another new voice, maybe some new training tactics, some new this, new that, to that still a very young group of players, it may not just be a frustration from them. You might lose the player buy-in who go, fuck, we got to... Have you ever worked for a company where like every 12 months they change all the processes, the forms you got to fill in, and staff sit there that have been there 4 or 5 years and go, for fuck's sake, have I got to learn something else new again just as I'm getting into a new flow? You could do that to the players, and they stuck through the hard times and they've come out the other side. And I think the players believe in Maresca. I think the players believe in what Chelsea are doing, and it's all coming together in exactly the right way. That all being said, I'm not sitting here saying that they should be in the title race to apply some kind of arbitrary, banal pressure. I genuinely believe it. I think they have clicked. I don't think they should have to win the league. Otherwise, it's a disaster of a season. But this team could win every competition they're in next year. The league's the hardest to win. And I did see Jamie Carragher, I'm sure a clip the other day, say that the Champions League's harder to win because of how often people win it. Even teams that have won it a lot have won the league a lot more times than have won the Champions League. And I don't think it's because the Champions League's harder, as in you have to be more consistent on a more regular basis. It's that you can be out after having... But Jamie Carragher is... I think he said this before you guys caught United on league titles. I think that's what it is. You can be the best team in the world and have an off day and you're out the Champions League. You could have 3 off weekends on the bounce in the league but still win it, as an example. So knockout football is very different. Man United are not better than Arsenal because we knocked them out of the FA Cup last year. You know what I'm saying? That the league's still harder and is the barometer. So it's harder for them to win, but they could win every single trophy next year, Chelsea. But I do think, and we need to be fair, we've all sat here and said, Arsenal have got to be judged on winning. Why? Because they're going into the 6th year since they're not even in a rebuild. 6 years ago, okay? They started the rebuild of getting new manager, new sporting directors, ripping everything old out, bringing everything new in. They've spent the better part of £1 billion and are expected to win. Chelsea are going into the 4th year of their club level rebuild. They've just won 2 trophies. They've spent 1 point something billion and will spend more, and that's fair. We cannot just go, yeah, plucky old Chelsea. This is what they do. There has to be an element of expectation of challenging for league titles and winning trophies as a standard for them. The same as we apply to Liverpool, City, even Man United, as crap as we are. You know for a fact if we just come 8th next year and win nothing, we're still getting ridiculed, and rightfully so. So I have to apply the pressure on Chelsea, but I'm doing that because I think they're really fucking good. So it's not some weird ploy to try and undermine their season. I just can't sit there in good conscience and say, yeah, they'll come 4th. That's amazing. They don't have to win anything. There's got to be pressure. But they look legit right now. I can't lie. They look absolutely fucking legit.
Yeah, they kind of put, in a weird way, they've kind of put more pressure on themselves by winning it, if that makes sense. I don't think people would say that they're ready for winning a league title if they hadn't won the Club World Cup. But it's like the Club World Cup as well as like the teams that are in it, they did want to win it. Because I listen, it might be friendly in a sense, but because of the prize pool, a lot of the teams that were in the competition, they wanted to go far and they wanted to get that money. And Chelsea have obviously done that. So it is weird because I do think they're probably a year off, or maybe 1 or 2 players for like actually winning the league. But I still think they should be competitive at the top end of the table with like Liverpool, Man City, and Chelsea and Arsenal, because they do have the players there. Like Caicedo is one of the best in the world in his position. Palmer, João Pedro, and Delap, I think, will alternate between the two, and I think they're really, really, really good. And I think Enzo's started to come into his own. I think a lot of Chelsea players or Chelsea fans really rate Enzo, and I think he's been really good for the team. Pedro Neto, I've been really impressed by in this tournament, even though he didn't have the best season last year. Malo, Reece James, like they can alternate between them two. I just think centre back and goalkeeper, if they get those two like really good players in those positions, then I think you're looking at like a really good team.
Yeah, no, I definitely have to agree with that. I do think that though, that it's not a case of the team is good enough to compete as to why the pressure will be on them. Though I think it's more the money they've spent, and like I said, now winning this trophy, it goes to show that they're good enough to win something. Like their team is at the required quality to beat PSG, so why can't they do it on a weekly basis in the Premier League? But more than anything, I think the pressure is going to come from inside within their own fan base, because we know what Chelsea fans like. You give them a taste of something, they're greedy. They're going to want that straight back again more. So when they've won this trophy, they've just won a Conference League, they've come off the back of a Club World Cup, they're going to be demanding just as much success going into this new season. So I think when you have fans like probably Don and CB who are on the case of they want to see Chelsea the best, they want to see Chelsea compete, and even Ches, their pressure is going to come from them guys and the Chelsea fan base that we need to see more now. So yeah, Chelsea definitely have to, if not, they don't need to win the league, but they need to be in and around the teams that are winning the league.
Yeah, exactly. And I think there's a happy medium. I mean, some Chelsea fans have been putting pressure on them to win the league every year during this rebuild, which I've always, and for me, I always look at these situations and think to myself, like, I saw yesterday, of course, the banter of Maresca in phase 1 has won more than Arteta in phase 6, and everyone knows my legitimate thoughts on that. I don't think the phases are necessary. I don't think clubs operate now in phases that are connected to managers. Liverpool haven't started everything from scratch because Slot came in. It's a continuation of that project and of the processes and of the way they operate. So if we want to do the phases, like I said, Slot didn't win in phase 1. Slot has won in like phase 27 for FSG at Liverpool. And that's the reality of these situations. It's why there's been so much praise for the way that Liverpool have seamlessly moved from manager to manager, is because there hasn't been the up. I do think if he came in last summer and ripped up the whole script and you guys literally started everything again, I don't think you win the league last year. I think you create too much disharmony and confusion and noise behind the scenes. That all being said, though, Chelsea fans now have got the right to say, well, let's start pushing for that title. Let's go. What Chelsea, the one thing they really need to avoid in the league is they don't want to be going to the last day of the season. Are we making Champions League football or not? By and large, you might find that it's a 5-horse race for the top 4 positions, and they're still doing that. But I think what they need to do this year, Chelsea, is a bare minimum in the league, is close the gap on the Liverpools and the Arsenals at the top further. And by the way, I know they weren't that many points behind Arsenal, but with Arsenal signings, they are winning so many more games this year. All those draws for Arsenal, 60% are going to be wins next year. I really believe that, and that just changes things. They've got to close that gap further, but they've got to create, Chelsea, for me, clear blue water between them and those places in kind of 6th to 8th to 10th that last season were on their shoulder all season. I think they've got to create that clear blue water, but I think they'll do it as well. I think fan pressure or not, they look like they're loving winning again. Sort of, I saw a little thing with João Pedro where he's talking about this is why I joined Chelsea. I know that he's going to Arsenal, and Arsenal are probably going to be in the title race next year. I did think a little bit about Noni Madueke landing back in London, and his team went and won the Club World Cup. Part of me did think, couldn't you wait one more day? Couldn't you wait one more day, get your medal? But obviously he wants to be an Arsenal player. Maybe not. Maybe he knew that Chelsea didn't want him there anymore, and that makes you kind of want to go.
Would he get a medal?
Then Enzo came out quite clearly, and Enzo said that like it wasn't a case of Chelsea didn't want him; they were happy to keep him, but Madueke wanted the move, so it was a case of just letting the player go ahead with his sort of wishes and make the move. So it was never a case of Madueke didn't want to, or Chelsea wanted to get rid of Madueke.
Yeah, he'll still get his medal anyway. He just don't lift the trophy.
Yeah. Okay, fair enough. If you said that, that's fair. That's fair. I didn't read that, so that's good to point out. Oh. Some breaking news here. Who's the source? I don't know who the guy is. He's got 10,000 followers, but you don't write people off because they've got low following. It says a full agreement is closer for a deal for Sancho to Juve. The offer is 15 million, and there's confidence it can be finalized this week. Do you know what? As long as, again, it says someone else, first comment is shit source. I hope it's real. I'd be disappointed in that deal because it means we're not making we are making a profit because we're getting 13 million pound back in wages, which I don't want to pay. We'd break even. Well, we'd make a slight profit. We got 5 million from Chelsea, so that'd be 20 million. We owe 17. We'll make £3.5 million. It's better than a loss, but at least it'd be gone. At least it'll calm a few people down. He's been turning down big money as well, Sancho. It turns out that Chelsea offered him 180k a week, and he said no. Like,
yeah, because I suppose he's on 325 and he wants Man United to pay out his wages, isn't it? So he's trying to get like the if he gets that fully paid out, he's laughing. That Chelsea money is not really.
Well, that's the one thing. I've been critical of something. If Man United end up paying off some of his wages to get rid of him, I'm fuming. Like, no, I'd rather him play for our reserves on that money for the year. I'd rather set the point that you don't. It's not about the money. Because by the way, it's not about the money per se. It's the precedent. It's you get to go to a new place and be happy while we're still paying you. It's like, nah, bruv. You're going to sit and play for the reserves for a year. We'll pay you. We'll take the hit. But you're doing what we say rather than you getting what you want. I'd much rather set that precedent than pay him off. And that's not personal about Sancho. I'm looking at this as purely a body and a business decision. I would rather sacrifice, because I think in the longer term that pays dividends for us. I think more players will be less likely to push for what he's pushing for if they know the club won't stand for it. It's the issue that we're like that parent. You know that parent whose kids are screaming and screaming and screaming and screaming in the supermarket, and in the end they just go, okay, there's a chocolate bar, shut up. It's like, you know that kid's going to scream again the next time. And they're the kids that turn into right little horrible fuckers when you're 17, 18, 19. Because mummy's always, you know the guys I'm talking about. We all know people like that. I just wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it, but we'll see. Hopefully the deal goes through and we get that done. Listen, boys, I think we've got a few super chats here. Sorry, I don't want to miss these. It says, outstanding performance. I don't believe we'll win the league, but close the gap. If I'm honest, I want the Champions League. Third Champions League is possible, matching United's record. Yeah, Nick, that'll be pain, mate. That'll be painful if you guys do that, I tell you.
We match your league record and then Chelsea match your Champions League one.
Mr. Fleurs, allow me to do a stream with my Jamie on. Oh, you're Jamie. Hello. I like
Donna's like this every stream.
Mr. Jamie, you'll never walk alone with me. Oh. That's funny. Clear Lake said it would take 6 windows to get the squad right. Can't lie, they've delivered. Yeah, who knew they knew? As an example, listen.